Welcome everybody to Relationship Fun and Games.
And Fights Clean, Sex Dirty TV. I'm Gabrielle, Gabby Sundra.
And I'm Raj Sundra.
And we are so happy that you are here tonight because, as we like to say, wonderful is worth it, and so are you. That's actually the name of a song that we recently took our wedding vows.
Maybe one of these days we'll sing it.
Yeah, maybe one of these. We'll do a little video. We'll sing it, put it out there online. But we are so glad you're here because we know that life is full. It takes something, whether you're watching this live or you're on the replay. And we're really happy that you could join us because, a playful, peaceful, passionate, it really is worth it. It's going to contribute to so many areas of your life. And we've got a really great show tonight. So before we get to the topic and all the juicy content we're going to get to tonight, we want you to meet our awesome interviewees, Amanda and Matthew.
Yay, Amanda and Matthew.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're so excited to be here.
Yes, we are.
So great to see you. You guys look lovely as always.
Thank you.
Great. So we're going to tell you a little bit about our wonderful guests tonight, and then we'll have them share a little bit about how they met and how their relationship came to be.
We love hearing stories about how couples got together. There, I tell you, at least half of them could be movie scripts. It's always so fun. I love stories,
right?
We
should do like a TV series from.
That'd be fun. We could collect people's stories and how they got together. Yeah. Right? Love that.
Your first.
Well, a little bit of the background and stories. This is just scratching the surface. Is Amanda?
Yeah, you introduce Amanda.
All right.
You do Amanda, I'll do Matthew.
Okay, I love this picture of Amanda here, just up close, looking right into her eyes, just this peaceful look. And when you look at the work she does, as a heart consultant, I'd never seen that before. And you can see it in her eyes, right? The love, the compassion, the support. So what she does out there in the world, in addition to the work she does with her beloved and couples, which we'll get to in just a moment, she helps high-achieving visionaries create success in their relationships and business. So she has transformed the lives of high-powered men and women. She works with both. People, that have achieved financial, professional goals, they've gotten to the top of the quote-unquote ladder and then found that maybe they put the ladder up against the wrong building, I don't know, but they just don't have the satisfaction and joy that they thought they would have once they got to the top of that ladder. This by integrating emotional healing, what they call heart rewiring, and she helps individuals connect with themselves and their loved ones on a really deep level so that they have the happiness and the fulfillment that they truly crave. Amanda, we are so happy to have you here tonight.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. Amanda, anything else you want to say that that may not have been communicated in Gabby's beautiful representation of you?
No, that was communicated great, and I loved the analogy, the metaphor that you used of putting the ladder up against the wrong building. That's definitely a common experience with the folks that I work with.
Yeah, I'm here. I thought I was supposed to be happy. Well, where's here? I look around. Whoops.
Totally.
I picked the wrong here. Or maybe not the wrong here, but there's something
else. It's a pretty disheartening moment.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I got to introduce Matthew. First of all, he's totally hot.
Look at those eyes. I've only seen you with glasses, I think, before in our calls, and I haven't really gotten to see how blue your eyes are.
Thank you.
Pretty sexy.
Thank you.
So there's more to him than meets the eye, as the expression goes.
But there's a lot to start off with the eyes, so it's only going to get better from here, right?
Totally. So, Matt, I love the work that Matt does because it's so needed in the entrepreneurial world. Often as entrepreneurs, mostly as entrepreneurs and business leaders, we can sacrifice the other parts of our being other than our mind. We're so just knocking it out of the park every hour of the day, trying to get our business going, that we can forget about all the other parts that make us show up powerfully and sustainably. So, as it says here on the slide, he is a high-performance coach and neuroscience-based movement expert. I'm not sure what 500 RWYT is. Matthew, could you share what that is?
It's just a 500-hour registered yoga teacher. So 500-hour registered yoga teacher.
That's kind of like having your master's in yoga teaching.
Yeah. Nice.
Awesome. Awesome. And as I was talking about before, he helps burnt out tech entrepreneurs streamline their bodies and relationships to match their business. And I love that you have both bodies and relationships, because if either one of those things is not working, then it's really difficult to show up powerfully and sustainably. He's helped countless individuals reach their goals through a wide range of mental toughness and movement strategies. Very unique what Matt does. And he's recognized as a high performance expert, and he speaks at conferences and is featured internationally in magazines and on a variety of podcasts and blogs across the web. And we'll show you in a moment how you can check some of those things out. Matt, anything else you want to add?
No, that was awesome. Thank you.
You're pretty cool.
Really honored.
Yeah, we actually just finished doing a workshop this weekend, and there was a period where you were supposed to practice bragging about yourself. It's all about how do we grow through socializing, where we get stunted and what we should and shouldn't do. And that was one exercise. So it was really fun. We were getting to brag about you a little bit there, because you are amazing, extraordinary people on your own. And then the two of you come together with the purpose of helping other couples be as happy and fulfilled and excited about their relationship as you are. And it's such a generous thing to do, because it takes humility, it takes courage, it takes holding space through some really intense things that often couples are going through. So I so appreciate the work that you guys are bringing forth here, you know, as co-founders of Relational Intelligence and the Relationship Mastery Blueprint. This is their 6-step formula. It helps high-achieving singles and couples, so you don't have to be in a relationship to actually do their work. And they're really help you to master communication and connection, so that you have a relationship that really is going to amplify your life purpose. So not only is the relationship enjoyable, but it actually blows wind in your sail for whatever else you're up to in life. So they have over 13 years of combined experience in transformation technology. And I love the variety here. They've got, you know, neuroscience, yoga, relational dynamics, emotional rewiring. They've even created a system through all of those processes specifically made to optimize relationships. Raj and I love optimizing relationships, and they've actually shared their 6 stages, their 6 steps with me, and they're super inspiring. They're very practical and logical, and really flows through exactly where a couple's at. And when they're not doing their online programs or their live retreats, they do some live luxury retreats. When they're not doing that, they are often speaking on stage. But in not doing that, they are in Cardiff by the Sea, just a few hours south of us in warm, sunny California today. Super grateful for that. And they have their puppy, Sophie, which they get to enjoy going for walks in the ocean and spending time in their community. So you guys, it's so great to be here. I love your relationship. We got to both speak at the same event a couple months ago, back in February. Just under 2 months now. And, you know, it was just super inspiring what you were talking about then. And we'll get to all your juicy content, but for they're here because they want to hear more from you, or those who have never met you before, share with us your story of how you got together, maybe your motto of what keeps you together and keeps you happy. But just give us a little scratch and sniff of insight into what the world of Matthew and Amanda's relationship is like.
We will give you a scratch and a sniff. Yeah, we would love to hear that. We're so happy to be here.
This is how those animals get to know each other, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
let's see what's there. Or
Love
when you were a
that.
kid. You guys remember when you were a kid, you had the scratch and sniff books, and it's like you're in the strawberry patch. And it just gives you the whole experience of being there. Plus, your olfactory is the oldest part of the brain, your oldest sense. Not oldest part of the brain, but your oldest sense. So
maybe we can hear about your favorite scent, and that will.
Yeah.
You're getting that going with the neuroscience.
Creating a whole vibe of what that is like in the world.
Speaking of childhood, that kind of leads right in. That is actually exactly how we met. We did not meet in our childhood. That would be cute. But we actually met reenacting our childhood. So we met at a beach, like 2 or 3 minutes from here. And a mutual friend of ours was hosting an event called Recess 2.0. Kind of,
Nice.
and the subtitle was Reconnecting with Your Inner Child. So we all showed up just to play some game, you know, like Red Rover style. And reconnect with our childhood roots. And that's where Matthew and I first crossed paths.
Amanda said, I really like your glasses. And I was like, oh, sweet. Okay, cool. Like, thanks. And I'm seeing this woman in these like blue yoga pants, and she had this like really cute shirt on, and I was just like, she's super sexy. And like, first off, I'm just so happy she's talking to me. and then she goes like, wait, let me say that again. I like those glasses on you. And I was like, oh. She's for sure hitting on me. Turns out that's actually just who Amanda is, and actually like how she kind of goes about the world in terms of complimenting people. So
at the time, I just have this practice of like, if I have a positive thought about someone, especially if it's their physical appearance and they're a stranger, I want to say it to them, because I feel like it just adds more love and joy in the world. And I like seeing the smile on people, or sometimes the weirded out look on people's faces. But and I also think that, you know, physical objects can't receive compliments. So in that moment, I like to make sure the person knows that like it's you that's good, and like the thing compliments you well. So yeah, he definitely, I was not unfortunately hitting on him. Had I known what I know now, I would have been smarter and actually hit on him.
Yeah. And so that was
glad he took it that way.
Say again.
Let's just be glad he took it that way. Oh, she must be hitting on me.
I have a lot of things to be glad for when it comes to this guy, and that's the first one.
And then I guess, you know, so long story short, we actually went on a date a couple weeks later, or maybe it was a week later, and after that, we it ended up being like so brotherly, sisterly, like it was so comfortable.
No, that's not it. What happened?
She has a different.
What happened was, I had just made a rule for myself. I was like, I had been dating just for fun. I was like, you know what? I'm ready to call in a partner, even if it's not like my lifelong partner. I'm ready to build something with someone. So I'm not going to live from a scarcity mentality anymore and just keep waiting to see if things are going to work out and give things chances that I really don't feel something, but I'm just like, well, maybe there will be something. And so I was like, you know what, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And I'm just going to trust myself. And poor Matt was the first date that I went on after I made that rule. And for whatever reason, I texted him afterwards and I was like, thank you so much. It was an amazing date. But for whatever reason, like it just isn't a hell yes for me. I could see us having some fun together, but I don't see it really moving towards what I'm looking for. And so my intention moving forward is going to be friendship. And so of course Matt texted me back. He was like, totally. Yeah, it was almost too comfortable, like brother sister vibes. Let's be friends for sure.
Meanwhile, I'm like super into her, and I wish I would have just like been honest about it. But so of course, as you can imagine, for the next 4 to 6 months, I just basically turned down every single friend invite.
I was like, let's get coffee and catch up. What are you doing? And just like radio silence.
I was like very clear that I was super into her, and I wasn't just gonna like go on a friend date. Like that was just not happening. And
way to go, babe.
And then
meanwhile, you hadn't told her that, so she just thinks you're like ghosting her or something.
Yeah.
I have learned a lot since then. I will be honest with that. So. And then it came to Labor Day, actually. It was a Labor Day party. And
well, first, there was that thing beforehand, that event. There was an event that a mutual friend of ours was speaking at. And one of us reached out to the other one and was like, hey, I see that you're going to this. Are you going to be there? And I was like, yeah, I am. Can't wait to see you and catch up. And he was like, I'm going to ignore you, or something like that. And I was like,
I don't know if I said I'm going to ignore you.
You said something to the effect, and I was like, well, I'm going to yell at you and run at you and give you a big hug from across the room, and you won't be able to ignore me. And so, but then I decided that it was a stupid event and I didn't want to go. And it was $40. And I was like, I'm not paying $40 to go to an event I don't want to. So I didn't go. Turns out Matt thought that that was another date, and then I stood him up.
Stood me up on the date. Yes.
I don't know.
Second attempt at a date. Stood me up on it. So
I still don't know how he thought that was a date. Like, but either way, I invited.
You guys have like how many miscommunications can you get into each interaction?
Totally. Yeah.
We somehow cleaned it up, but it cleaned
up fast, thankfully. So I invited him to a friend's Labor Day party randomly, and I remember I got there late. And I walked in, and I remember exactly what he was wearing. And I've never experienced feeling magnetized to someone the way that I did to him that night. And I remember we hugged, and he at one point that night he had his hand on my waist, and I used to have a rule that I wouldn't date anyone under 6'2" because I'm a tall woman and I wanted to feel held. And I thought that dating taller men would give me that feeling. And when Matt put his hand on my waist, in all honesty, I felt like
I'm like 5'10".
We're the same. We're the same height. So. My whole being felt held, like just with his hand on my waist. And I was like, what is this feeling? And so we spent the whole night talking. And he kind of looked at me at the end of the night and was like, why didn't we go on a second date again? And I was like, I think I thought we had to like get married on the third date. Things were intense back then. Sorry. And meanwhile, this could go for, but I had just given my notice to my landlord. So I was planning on traveling the country by car for 6 months and then moving to Italy. I had just quit my job. I was like, I'm out. I'm going on an adventure. And I kid you not, 5 days after that is when Matthew and I reconnected. And so we went on a date. That's more cute stories. And I ended up.
It was just epic. Like, it was probably the most special night of my life. Like, literally, like we like at like 4 a.m. we're like laying on it. What? Yeah, no, I won't go into all the details.
So far, you guys are engaged now. You gotta know. Yeah, so far we got a lot more to come.
Yeah, yes. This is so true. And we were literally just laying on a hammock at like 4 a.m. outside of her beautiful apartment, like watching the sunrise, you know. And so that was sort of like the beginning. But you were going to say something about that, though.
Oh yeah, which people you think it's really romantic to go on a first date with someone and know and just like and for us it was like, wow, we've been together for like a long time. And it's kind of it's actually a pretty disorienting experience for us at least. It was like, and I was planning on leaving and then this is happening. So
you're talking about like past life stuff?
No, just like it felt like we had known each other for so long. I mean, yeah, we could get into that, but it's.
I totally understand. You know, when Raj and I met, it felt like, I described it as it felt like getting into a warm bath. It was just so comfortable and soothing. Yeah. But every other relationship I had, I wanted to throw up. And I thought butterflies meant love. And so I was all confused, like, well, I just feel super comfortable. And like you said, is this friends? And what I realized is that those butterflies is actually anxiety because I couldn't be myself.
Wow.
Raj, it felt like I had not only been with him for 40 years, I had been with him for 40 lifetimes. And it was just this knowingness. And same thing, all of my boyfriends, one before Raj was smaller than he was, but all my boyfriends were 6'4", 6'5", forget 6'2", you know, they were big ones. And then I learned, I'm like, first of all, yes, Raj can hold, I've got you, you know, the size is not the issue. But let me tell you, it has been such a, for the smaller body, because cuddling is the best. Whereas those big guys, I'd be like, get your leg off of me, I can't breathe. And so now we get to get all cuddled up, and we're gold medal Olympic style cuddlers.
Yeah, we have called the snuggle snooze.
Snuggle snooze. Yeah. In the morning, we have a snuggle snooze. So we start to wake up.
We do that too.
Snuggle snooze, and we turn around and snuggle up.
We just didn't have a name for it. Now we have a name for it. I love that. The snuggle snooze.
Snuggle snooze. Love that. So yeah, the end of that story is I moved in with him 3 weeks later after our first date.
Another quick one.
And which, you know, that was definitely not ever my plan. None of it was my plan, but I wrote a blog at the time, and I remember writing, I feel like, because people are much more supportive of you living out of your car for 6 months than they are of you moving in with someone you just started dating. Like, even though the one sounds crazy, the other one, people are like, maybe you need, no. And I remember writing, I feel like I just traded in traveling the country by car on my own for traveling the cosmos with my soulmate. And that truly is what the past 3 years have been. So that was probably more my side of the story, but we're so happy to be here and just get to share. And that's what got us started in this relationship coaching business, was just, you know, we spend so much time and intention on our relationship, especially that first year. And we kind of just like jumped into the fire, living together right away. That when people started asking what we were doing and eventually saying like, please, like, share this, like, please share, do a YouTube channel, do something, just share it. So it's been so fulfilling to get to help other couples with the tools that we've come up with. And like I love what you guys do because they're tangible tools. Like relationship can be so nebulous, and even relationship advice. And so to give people like strategies of like, if you practice this, your relationship will get better. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And that
well,
was
on the note of those practices. Oh, sorry, Matt, you want to wrap up? We just know we want to get to all those practices and content, but
totally. No, I was just simply going to say it was really cool because the first year of our relationship, we basically were both working like 8 to 20 hours a month because we had our separate coaching practices that were doing really well. So our full-time job ended up just being our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are we relating? And so looking at, and Amanda, you know, sometimes how they talk about working in your business versus working on your business. And we spent so much time working on our relationship and actually like looking sort of, you know, from a bird's eye view of like, what's actually happening? What are the relational dynamics happening here? And then obviously through study and everything too, but it became such a cool immersion into relationship and like how it all plays out well and what doesn't work, and ultimately getting into the practice of relationship. So it's been awesome.
Cool. Well, on the note of what works and what does not, let's go ahead and share the screen and show those of you that are watching the show for the first time how we do this.
Awesome.
So when Gabby and I, at our wedding ceremony, you know, sometimes you ask, hey, do you have any advice around staying married? And someone said to us, just keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. And we weren't doing relationship work at that time, nor had we had any idea we were going to be doing relationship work, right? But we ended up doing that, and lo and behold, we called our clean and the sex dirty.
So each week on the show with Fights Clean, Sex Dirty TV, there's 8 episodes. And so one week we'll look at how to keep the fights clean, and the next week we'll look at how to keep the sex dirty. Because not only was that the advice given to us on our wedding day on how to have an awesome relationship, an awesome marriage, but it was also when we surveyed everyone that was in our audience and said, hey, what are you most facing? You know, it was, how do I not lose it in an argument or do something that I'm going to regret later? And how do I keep the passion alive? That's what it pretty much comes down to. Now, those are the 2 categories, but we also look at when do you apply the tips, because you don't want to, you know, in the middle of an argument, you don't want to use a skill that's best used after the fight is over. Or, you know, you just want to make sure you're using the right tip at the right time. So we have our tips broken down into before, as it starts, during, and after. But tonight's topic is how to keep the fights clean during. This is all about being right in the heat of it, right? So you can see this logo on the left-hand side here. It's the heart with the halo on top, keeping the fights clean. And the during portion is a section of that circle there is shaded in so that you can easily find a tip or a tool if you're looking on our website, or you might be looking at this cheat sheet. This cheat sheet has 2 tips for each one of these 8 categories. So you get 16 tips summarized in 1 sentence. You can print them, put them on the fridge, put them in your wallet. And to get them, just stay to the end of the hangout, come on live and let us know your information, and we'll go ahead and send that to you. If for some reason you're watching this replay and you live in a time zone that you can't come live, go ahead and write to me. We want to make sure that you're not left out. And in the future, we're going to continue to try to offer the show and our other offerings at additional hours. We had someone from Israel reach out and say, I can't get the cheat sheet because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Although we did have people from, was it Croatia, or what was that couple that would come at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to the communications course?
Norway, I believe. Norway,
yeah. They'd come at 4 o'clock in the morning to the show. It was amazing.
Wow.
Great. So if you want to find out more about this particular topic, how to keep the fights clean during, you can look at our website and look for this symbol, and you can find different blog articles, and we even have some short video tips, which we'll share in a moment.
Yep, those are our quick tip video clips. We're going to show you an example for this week in just a moment, or at least show you where you can find that one. But these are some of our tips. The so-so moment, you know, when a fight is at best so easily, can get so much worse, or the argument escape hatch, how to tame the triggers, unhook even in the heat of it. These are all different blog articles that are available, and some of the quick tip video clips. So go ahead and check those out. But tonight, we're going to dive into the topic of your stop, shift, start. Now we have, I think, 5 or 6 different tips from Amanda and Matthew. So we're going to get through ours as quickly as possible because we really want to get into the nitty gritty and as much as possible of the juicy parts of what they're bringing to the table tonight. But stop, shift, start is an important tip. It was actually the very first tip Raj and I ever came up with.
We were out to dinner in...
Oh, one second, before we go into the tip, let's just tell them about this slide. So we're going to put this link in the chat. And so this tip is also summarized in like a 4-minute video. So if you want to put it on your phone or your desktop, have it available when you need it. You know, I'm in the middle of an argument. What do I do? Oh, I bookmark that icon, that video on my phone. Click it, watch it, practice it. I know that when we need the tips the most is when we least remember them. So grab this one now and hold on to it.
Great, and that'll appear in the comments on the webpage.
Yeah, if you don't see them, just refresh your browser and they should pop up.
Great.
All right, so back to tonight where this tip came from.
Yeah, so one of the most challenging things to do is to pull out of a fight when it starts getting heated up, a la the during. That's why this is the during part of Fights Clean. And you know, you can ruin a week, an evening, a vacation.
Oh my gosh. Remember Bermuda?
Family gathering, simply by not being able to pull out of an argument and then just getting fully embedded in it, spiraling down into the depths of no return. You probably have experienced that at least one time in your relationship.
Especially when both people are under-resourced. It's bad enough when one person's having a tough time or a tough day, or they haven't eaten, or their computer's going slow, or there's no internet, whatever it might be that your stressors are. The kids, you know, daycare, you know, called them, said they're sick and sent them home from daycare, whatever your stressors may be. The car is broken down. And the next thing you know, we're tearing at each other's jugulars.
Yeah, and so that was happening to us one evening when we were out to dinner, and it was positioned to be this nice romantic dinner, and it was quickly to not a nice
we
dinner.
hadn't even gotten to the table yet. We were at the bar, and just it was a slippery slope. And then all of a sudden, Rajan stopped and he said, "Wait, stop, shift, start." And I was like, "Hey, that's pretty cool. I love alliterations." Maybe he knew that. And so we said, "Okay, how can we stop this negative energy?" You can go to the next slide, Raj. And then bring a new energy to it. So it's shorthand for saying, let's stop fighting. Let's shift out of this default dynamic that we're stuck in right now and start a more loving dynamic, the one by design. You know, if you ever follow Raj in our work, we talk about being proactive and really declaring who you are as a couple. And if you do that and you know who you are, and then you're being something that is out of alignment with who you've declared that you're going to be as a couple, then you can say this, you know, real quickly, just stop, shift, start. You know, that thing that we said we were going to be? And even if you haven't created a vision for who you're going to be as a couple, this stop, shift, start can still work. You're just kind of, in fact, a yellow flag, if we don't have our flag with us, we have our toolkit. Here, bring the video, Raj.
Yeah, I thought we were joking about the flag.
Yeah, I'm not joking about the flag here. I got to watch out because I got some of our sex toys here too. But, but if you can see this is the flag. And we will throw the flag. You can see here.
You can even say, are you in your monkey?
Are you using your reptile brain, your critter monkey brain? You know, we have all sorts of fun little tools in here. And then when this bag got too small to hold it all, we then get a bucket.
Oh, there it is. Oh my God.
So this is actually something that we're going to be offering soon on our online store, and you can.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
His and her stress toys. Here, one's a pig with wings because we make the impossible possible. We make pigs fly. We like to say all the time, pigs can fly. So if we're stressed, we can get these out. So we have all sorts of fun little things in there. So this is just, you know, the idea you're pulling something out of your toolkit, whether it's a physical toolkit or just one of your word toolkits. This one's stop, shift, start. Maybe you have the flag. If you don't have the flag, we just pretend. Halo. And Raj is getting the devil horns.
The other day I pulled these out, and it moved us out of a sex slump.
Yeah, we were in a sex slump, and I came out of the bathroom into the bedroom, and he was in bed wearing the devil horns, extending out the halo for me. But that's a different topic. That's the sex dirty one. But you can use those for Fights Clean. How to get out of an argument. Props. We give points for props. So pull out a funny hat.
That's amazing.
If you want to get a jump start on getting one of those kits, email Gabby and she'll hook you up.
Yeah, they'll probably be available in June, but let me know you're interested. And so far we've just been giving them to friends as wedding gifts and things of that nature. And I know you two are engaged, so we should keep that on our list.
We have to put that on our registry.
Yeah. Register for your Fights, Clean, Sex, Dirty. So at any rate, just to wrap this tip up so we can get to the juicy ones with Amanda and Matthew. In short, it's a meaningful, memorable mantra, right? So let's stop fighting, let's shift out of this default, and let's start moving into a by design dynamic instead. Now you can add some flair to it, you know, as we said, blow your whistle, throw the flag. But we want to wrap up on this tip by saying it's really important that you embrace the olive branch. You know, John Gottman, our favorite relationship researcher, he's been doing this 44 years. And he says that it's not a problem if you fight, you don't fight. The real red flag in a relationship is if you have an argument. It's not even a problem if you have an argument and nobody apologizes. But if you have an argument and somebody apologizes or even extends the olive branch in any way and the other person does not accept it, says, you know, hey, I see that I have responsibility here. And even if they're doing it in a clumsy way, but they're taking a step towards you and you say, no, thank you, you're wrong, you're a jerk, and I'm going to be right and you're going to be wrong, then that is what is the red flag and the demise for a relationship. So if your partner has enough wisdom, sanity, and courage to call stop, shift, start, then meet them there. The worst thing you could do, and I have done it before, so I'm human, is say, but I've only done it once.
She said more than enough.
Yeah, it was more than one letter to that word. So if you're extended an olive branch, take it and be ready for more breakdowns and even breakups, okay? If you don't take that olive branch.
I'm just going to add a little bit to what Gabby said, and then we'd love to hear from Amanda and Matthew if they've, you know, see something in this tip or if they have a similar tip or whatever, and then we'll get to Matthew's and Amanda's tips. So it is one of the hardest things just to stop when you're just totally hijacked by your reptilian brain, which is what happens when you're in an argument. And often you can't stop yourself. So
that's your signal that you're in your reptilian brain.
We got to stop sharing here. And so hopefully one of you isn't completely hijacked and you can say, I call stop, shift, start. And that's what Gabby's saying is the olive branch, you know, say like, okay, even if you need a few minutes, say, give me a few minutes and I'll get there. So that's the stop part. It's like interrupting the pattern. The shift part is all about shifting the energy from the upside energy to how you want to move forward and shifting out of that and into the new. And that might include creating a way of being, maybe having some physical connection so you can actually get reconnected, holding hands, maybe do a being with, where you're looking at each other.
Well, that's transitioning into the start. I feel like the shift is just the movement. Like I see, I'm going to stop doing this. What do I want to do? I'm going to shift away from this. And then the start.
Yeah, right. The being with might be in the start because then you want to take an action that is in alignment with the shift so that you start moving along the right path.
And that action might be something like, hey, you know, you may be in your relationship. Usually there's one person they might call the hurricane. And it's like, we need to resolve this right now. And then there's the other person, sometimes known as the turtle. This is by Harville Hendricks and Helen Hunt. And they retreat. They're like, I just need some space. I talked to you about this, but I can't do it right now. Some also call it the anxious and avoidant. You know, one person really is after, you know, we've got to resolve this. And so if you can look for yourself and relax in that moment and say something like, this isn't healthy for us right now. Again, stop, shift, start communicates all of this, but this isn't healthy. I really want to come at this from a healthy way. I just need 15 minutes. Can we come back to this? I care about you, but we'll come back. Or the hurricane person, you know, can say, I really want to resolve this, but I see that you're not ready right now. Do you need 15 minutes? You know, whichever one, you're just making sure to calm the reptilian brain of the other, and then you can come back to it another time. Right in the moment, start playing a game, put on a costume, a silly hat.
It saved us 2 Christmases ago.
Yeah.
more on that later.
A 10-minute argument that could have ruined the
entire
whole Christmas.
Yeah.
Turned it around.
What a
So that's
story.
it for us with Stop Shift Start. Has this show up for you guys?
Yeah, totally.
All the time.
As you guys were sharing it, I love the alliteration of the Stop Shift Start. We have actually, one of our tips is really similar. We just say the way out is to call it out. And we'll dive more into that. But similarly, it's just like when you're on that train, that's like the hardest train to get off of, when you've literally got chemicals pumping through your body that are actively pushing you towards relational demise. And so, yeah, I love it. I love that
That's very visceral.
Yeah. That's how it feels. It's like there's this train of hormones pumping through your body. But yeah, we love that. And I think that's actually one of the things. I'll say this, Matt's way better at that than me. He's totally, I don't know what your guys' dynamic is, but he's definitely probably like 70-30. He calls it out first. And I'm like,
that's good.
And sometimes he's even so good that he'll start laughing. He's like, I love practicing with you. And then he just starts giggling, and I'm like,
and luckily she can like turn it around and it doesn't like infuriate her more. Because I could see where in some couple dynamics that would make it. But I think it's more like taking, bringing actual lightness to like the realization of like, oh my gosh, like seeing this from a higher level, like we're practicing together.
Yeah.
Like how fun is it? Like that we're fighting right now. Like this is so silly, potentially depending on whatever the topic may be. So it's a lot of fun.
I love that. Yeah. And I love that you guys.
I love it. It's like you're practicing that argument until you get practice makes perfect. So let's practice this one again. And
Totally.
We're going to nail this argument.
Well, and it just, and that's one of the things we talk about a lot is relationship as a practice. It just makes it so much less high stakes. Because I think for so many people, it's like, it's kind of like when you're playing a video game. If you're about to die in the video game, like you don't remember that you're actually safe and in your room. So
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, go ahead, Raj. Sorry.
Let's dive on in, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just I love how you articulated what you did about the tip, a similar frame. Love that.
We pulled up your screen here with your tips, and we already mentioned, the way out is to call it out, which is so awesome. We often will say, name your arguments, because you are having the same argument over and over again. Like we have one called, I can't get a word in edgewise. Who do you think is the one who can't get a word in edgewise here? And it's just great. You can have just some distance from it that, we're doing that thing again, rather than two fish in water, just in an argument. So I love that you guys have that on there. We kind of jumped to number 4, but you got some other juicy ones here. Take it away.
And the Google Hangout button is live. If anyone wants to jump in, you might need to refresh your browser and then click on the Join the Hangout button. Okay, take it away.
Right on. I'm going to start with just sort of how we look at conflict.
Yeah, so we, in our courses and with our clients that we use, in our blueprint that Gabby mentioned, module 3 is actually, it's called the Conflict Resolution Code, and it's module 2. And similar to what you guys said, it's just about having like some really simple tools and understandings to get out of conflict once it's there and to get back to connection. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're able to stay so at ease and relaxed in our relationship is because we have 100% confidence that no matter what comes up, we always know how to get back to connection, and usually pretty quickly. And that brings such a deeper level of being able to sink into the relationship and not have your fight or flight triggered as much or as often. So yeah, these are several of the things that we like to share in that module that we're super excited to share with you guys. And the first is just really understanding the anatomy of a conflict. If you know what's happening, you know how to get out of it.
Can I share something quick?
Yeah, of course you can.
One of my favorite things is like favorite compliments that we as a couple have ever received is actually from our roommate. And she was like, I love how you guys fight. Mm-hmm. Like you guys are so good at fighting, which is really funny. Right. But we started to actually receive that a lot, especially when we got started in this work. And it was because a lot of people started to see that, and what it is just for us is if there's something in between Amanda and I, we want to immediately address it. So we are actually like very shameless about like, even if we're in public, that we will, like, even if we're with our friends, that like we'll just address the tension that's there. And you know, so like I know it's such a common experience for so many people to be like, oh, you know, we'll talk about it later. This is when, you know, there are people like, for us, our friends have actually learned how to better communicate with their partners because they've seen us do it publicly. And again, it's not to be a show. It's for us to just like figure out what's there right now and get to the bottom of it. And we find that the less space there is from the moment of the infraction or the moment of the boundary being broken and the conversation being finished or being had, it's way less stakes, way less tension, and way less disconnection. So
yeah, absolutely.
I just want to say that.
Totally. So, and well, I think we should have actually started with call it out, because that's kind of the first thing to do. As you guys said, that's what we always teach is like, as soon as you notice that you're in what we call the conflict cyclone, and we'll totally describe that in a second. As soon as you notice that you're in the cyclone, just call it out. Like, we're totally in the conflict cyclone right now. Because that's the only way to stop the momentum that's already going that way and be able to shift it. And once you have called it out, then from there are our tips to how to like start turning that ship around once you've been on the train that's headed towards demise, as we were talking about earlier.
Should we start right from the top?
Yeah.
Of what we have? Yeah.
We're going to have to share it quickly though.
Yeah, just given our time. Yeah, so for us, we kind of look at fighting and disagreements as just simply like every healthy relationship is going to have them. And in fact, if you're not fighting, there's probably more issues. Like if there isn't disagreements, if there isn't some tension, some rub, there are bigger issues at hand there. So that's kind of, so in the context of the frame with which we always come at this work from is, yeah, it's not a matter of if, but when and how you're going to address it. So, and again, I think that's kind of the premise of your guys' work too. It's like, let's just fight clean. Like, let's acknowledge they're going to happen and let's just do it cleanly. So yeah, fighting is a practice, relationship is a practice. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the number one thing that we like for people to understand in the anatomy of a conflict. So once you have called it out and you've noticed that you're in conflict cyclone, and all that is, so tip number 2, the conflict cyclone, is really just noticing that you're in a conversation where, and Gabby and Raj, I'm sure you guys experience this too, like you've both said the same thing about 4 or 5 times. And it's just not,
maybe different words or the same words.
Yeah, and it's really like, it's not going anywhere. You're just kind of spinning in circles, and that's the moment to really insert that flag, as you guys have. We're going to have to pick a flag up of our own and just say, hey, we're in the conflict cyclone. And just having those words, and so many couples that we've worked with are like, ugh, just having those words for it, having the language to speak to what's happening rather than just staying in it is so empowering. So whether it's stop, shift, start, that's amazing, or just saying like, hey, we're totally in the conflict cyclone right now. Stopping the momentum is so important. And then we like to reverse engineer and give people like an avenue out of like, if you know what's created this conflict, you also know what's needed to heal it. So you don't just get out of the conflict, but you're actually able to harness what's coming up, that tension, to build your connection even stronger than it was before. And for us, that's what's the most important, is like, this is such a beautiful opportunity for something in your heart to receive more healing. Like, it's really just your heart saying like, hey, some part of me needs more than it has right now. And using conflict for that is key. And understanding the anatomy is a huge part of that, which is just, if you want to. Yeah,
well, so we look at conflict and again, this is just to give a broader context for how we look at this stuff, but conflict is just a violation of expectations or boundaries, or even just unexpressed boundaries, usually. And that's simply how conflict is created in the way that we would talk about it with our clients. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so the tip to know
the conflict is a violation of unexpressed expectations or boundaries. That is really awesome.
Yeah,
that's probably quite the mouthful, but yeah, that's usually, it's where somebody's stepping on, and we obviously talk about it. You guys talked about name your triggers, and that's simply it. Is so for us, or tame your triggers, but just simply to be aware of when those violations are happening. It's usually an expectation that the person has that's unexpressed of the partner that's being stepped on, or a boundary that's been either mentioned or not mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the tip here is, after you've called it out, after you've been like, we're totally in the conflict cyclone, is take a moment to actually look, and you might need to do some breathing exercises or put on some silly clown hats, but take a moment and look for what it was that was unexpressed, what boundary got violated, or what expectation got violated, so that you can actually come together to create a healthier connection moving forward. So that, like, rather than letting that conflict erode your connection, it actually strengthens the connection.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You are most likely familiar with imago therapy, Harville Hendricks,
Totally.
and Helen
Yeah.
Hunt. Yeah. And so, as that work states, we're designed actually to attract people to trigger our unhealed wounds from our past. But the thing that I love,
we have a chance to heal them. That's what we're trying to do.
The thing I love about what you've added here is that by distinguishing either this unexpressed boundary, unexpressed you're surfacing the wound, you're putting it into language, and you're taking that thing that might be nonverbal that you've carried around in every relationship with you, and you're bringing it to a level of consciousness just by naming what that thing was. You're like almost mining for what was that thing, because it's unexpressed, probably because you don't even know how to express it, or you're too fearful to express it. So love that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what kicks up then what we call recycled emotions. You know, I don't know if you guys can relate. I know we certainly can. Like, you know, someone eats your waffle and you just get like raging mad about it. And it doesn't make any sense because it was a waffle and it's replaceable. Like, there's another one in the freezer. and those are the we say, like, what you're experiencing is almost never about just what's happening in that moment. It's almost always a recycled emotion from past disappointments, past wounds. And that's when our 5-year-old strategies kick in, like the strategies we learned as a little kid. And that's the second thing we like to say is search and find out what are your 5-year-old strategies, so that your adult mind, as you guys were talking about, can start to kick in once you've called it out. Yeah, that's what we love about Harville and Helen Hendricks' work is, and you guys have probably read the book, obviously, Getting the Love You Want as well. And that was one of the biggest turning points for us, was like, Harville mentions in the book that, like, when you're a newborn, you poop and you cry and you scream. And those are like basically how I'm going to get my needs met. And ironically enough, like, we don't tend to upgrade those ways of getting what we want. And especially once the reptilian, like you guys had mentioned, the reptilian brain kicks in, there's very little that, that we do on an unconscious level at that point to actually change it. So there has to take some type of consciousness around what are some strategies that might actually work a little bit better here. There you go. Getting the Love You Want. Absolutely. And it's a phenomenal book if you're trying to create the love and the relationship that you really want. Absolutely. So tip number 3 that we had is your conflict personality blueprint. And you guys already talked about that a little bit. It's a similar context to, we don't talk about the hurricane or the turtle. A lot of the framework of our work is based on the freedom seeker and the stability seeker. We do a lot of Facebook Live trainings on it. But I know we're kind of getting a little crunchy on time, but essentially. So I guess
the freedom seeker, the stability, right?
And the stability seeker, yes. Yeah. And the different conflict personality types that each of those have, which the stability seeker, much like the hailstorm, wants to resolve it in that moment. Like, let's get this taken care of. And the freedom seeker typically needs space. And we say a lot of what causes conflict is actually those different conflict communication styles. That it's not the conflict itself, but it's actually how both people want to resolve the conflict that ends up intensifying it. Well, and you think about fight or flight.
like literally fight or flight comes from those two different wirings of the brain. Is like one's like, okay, I'm gonna fight. We're gonna hunker down and we're gonna figure this out because I am terrified of being abandoned. And that is the stability seeker, like in a nutshell. And the freedom seeker is like, I'm trapped. Get me out of here. You know what I mean? And that's how we look at it, and that's probably our biggest distinction that we share with couples and with singles, and it's incredibly transformative for them to know their personality type in a relationship.
Well, and that's probably the juiciest thing that we love to get into, because it takes what most people feel wrong for, what they're like, what's wrong with us? Why do we keep having these conflicts over and over? And it just explains, like, these are the dynamics that you were kind of like born into, and this is how they play together, and this is how you can optimize them, which that's a word that we love to use as well, is like, how can we really optimize the dynamics that we have, rather than looking at it like something's wrong with you because you're having this tension or conflict.
Absolutely. And I would say, like, also born into, but also nurtured into in the first couple years. Yeah. And then so in both cases, the reason that we don't reach resolution is usually because a combination of fight or flight and needing to be right, which I'm sure you guys probably also mentioned is so much about fighting.
We never do that.
Is the need to be like, I need to be right. I need to be the one that's like, I have all the evidence. I can stack it up against you. We can do litigation if you want. Like, I know that I got this right. And then also making the other one wrong. So in that as well. So those are probably the top three things, the reasons why we don't seem to get to resolution during conflict.
We actually played with it this morning. Raj was making some eggs, poaching the eggs, and I came in, I said, that's not enough water in the pan, and we were in crunch for time, so I was gonna add more water, but he didn't want me to cool it down. He said, yes, there is.
I said, I assure you that's
enough
water.
I was like,
after I said that, I was hoping that
and I cracked the eggs in. There was plenty of water. And so he got to do I was right. I was right.
Yeah, couldn't write that wrong dance.
Like a little young humor to it. I was like, I was so wrong. You were so right.
One of our best
examples
of that is that one time we were driving. I remember where we were driving, and Matt was like, I know you know that I'm right now. And I was like, no, I do not know that you're right, because you're not. It was a great, it was the most exaggerated version of that we've ever had, but it was awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
So
great. So we have a few more minutes here. And I can see why Gabby is so excited to have you on the show. What I'm getting a taste of is enlightening your tips and tools are. So I'm getting sort of an experience of what our tools can be for people, but we're just used to our tools. So it's just it's amazing to like, oh, wow, this is what people are getting. So love it. What else here would you like to share?
The last two there, the road back to connection and home exploration, at home exploration. That sounds hot, gotta say.
This one.
No, I think you just said that. Yeah, I think let's definitely talk about the road back to connection, because that's one of the most important things. So after you've called it out, which the first three are kind of more like what you need to understand in order to lessen the tension or the anxiety you have around fighting to begin with. And after you've called it out and this is where Matthew is like a star. He is a star. He has taught me so much about this, is really understanding that what you're really looking for, what any human is looking for, is not to be right, but to be seen, known, and understood, to feel seen, known, and understood. And that's really what we're fighting for. We're not fighting to be right. We're fighting to feel understood. And once you understand that and you've called it out, you can begin a plan of action to go about getting those needs met.
Yeah, like that, we sort of look at that, you guys were talking about the yellow flag. We talk about that being like a red flag for you, that anytime an argument is there, and I think Imago speaks to this as well, that anytime an argument is there, is like, this is a beautiful red flag that something needs some more understanding and some more healing, some more loving. So exactly. And on that note, what we like to say is, when you call it out, is the first thing to do is to give yourself that understanding before you even try to come back together, is to know, like, okay, a part of me feels really misunderstood.
if Matthew never understands me, I am still able to give that to myself. And so that's really like the foundation. That's like tip number above them all, is give yourself, take the time, take a couple moments to understand yourself of like, what was the expectation or the boundary that you felt got violated, and what are you feeling in that moment? And just like give yourself a second to be like, wow, Amanda, totally get why you feel that way. And that alone calms the nervous system down so much, and starts to give that inner 5-year-old child the safety that we're fighting to feel.
Yeah.
And this is where Matt's amazing, is then like how does it work together when you're both go from fighting to be right to trying to understand.
Yeah. And so the biggest thing for us, and it's funny, this is actually even before we found Imago, we just started figuring out that like, yeah, like literally Amanda just wants to be understood. And so it just literally became, what I'm hearing you say is, and mirroring. Like mirroring is probably one of the biggest things that like I can say hands down to anybody that has ever been in a fight. Mirror your partner, mirror your partner, mirror your partner, and truly just reflect back to them what they are saying, and that you're understanding and that you're comprehending that. And it's funny because for those of you that have never mirrored, I know you and Gabby and Raj do, but for those of you that have never mirrored, it's actually amazing that just simply recycling their words, even if you're not fully like with it and you're fully like, I totally buy it, almost saying it starts to create some neurological thing where you're all of a sudden able to step into their experience in a more profound way and take it out of that circuit that you're running of like, it's this way, it's this way, it's this way, and into more of what's going on for them.
And the beautiful
we were once in a relationship workshop where they they called it a consideration, and they would have you take your perspective and position on the matter and put it up on the mantle, and you could come back to it. But you actually then had to take your beloved's position and argue their position. So there you were, like one couple, one wanted to move to, stay in Melbourne, and the other wanted to move to Sydney. And this was the big issue in their relationship for like 2 years. And then all of a sudden they spent 30 minutes arguing each other's perspective. And it just, they really had an experience of each other that helped them make a decision that they both could about, that they really both got to feel seen, heard, and known. And I love that you said that seen, understood, and known. It's not always, but it's almost always not actually about the outcome.
Yeah.
And that if we can just create experience, understood and known, then the outcome, the resolution normally just emerges on its own. Not always, but very, very, very often.
I would agree with that, because you know that that's true, because sometimes when your partner is like, you're right, and like you like proved yourself right, and you still feel totally crappy. Like it didn't actually make you feel any better to be right about what it is you were fighting about. And that's a big clue for us. So the final thing before we share the at-home exploration, which will be very quick, is just knowing that on top of this, the layered kind of strategy for you to have is knowing that what your partner is doing and experiencing has absolutely nothing to do with you. If you can remind yourself of that in the moment, that it's not personal, and then also swallow that big pill yourself and like, okay, what I'm feeling is not about my beloved. What I'm feeling, what I'm doing is not about my beloved. That's what creates enough space for you to then connect with them and mirror and say like, okay, I want to understand what you're feeling, because I don't have to defend myself, because I'm not the bad guy or you're not the bad guy. It takes off the like villain victim roles and puts you on the same side of the table. And that's where Matthew comes in, is amazing. And the most powerful question he asks, and that we now teach people to ask, and that I'm still learning how to ask, is what else? Like, hear them and then say like, what else? Because it's really not about you. And so just let them kind of empty it out once you've been able to give yourself that understanding, so that you have the capacity to do that.
In the last time
we have a little song and dance, guys, that we do to remember that one.
Really?
I forget what you call it. Yeah. You ready, Raj?
Wait.
Oh, you gotta wait. Stop sharing the screen so it goes to video. Okay, ready? Did I get it? Is there more? Did I get it? Is there more? Did I get it? Is there more? Is there more?
That's so good. That's so good.
Because I would forget, so I'd be in the communication. It's not how I needed to say it to him in the moment, but it's how I needed to remember it. because I would be in conflict and I would forget to say, is there more? Or did I get it? And I just be like, blah, 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 and move on to something else. And so just having that in my body, I know that when we're in conflict, I want to get to that point where we're dancing going, yeah, did I get it? Is there more? And Raj to say, no, you got it. There's nothing else. We call that give them the gift of feeling complete. Like, nope, I've said it all. There it is.
Yeah.
That's so good. I like to, it's so funny. It just like the last time we were doing this, our master class, our 7-week master class, I don't know why, but the metaphor like came to me of like a cement truck, just like needing to get all the cement out. Like it just needs to keep pouring out the cement until there's no cement left. And that's just such a good metaphor. It's like, it just needs to keep rolling out and allowing all of that to be out. So, so that's been super helpful. I also want to say, you guys are so the embodiment of relationship fun and games. I just want you to know it is the perfect name for you guys, because it is just what you guys are. You guys are so playful, and I just love that.
I love it. We're having the same experience, Raj, that you shared of like, man, it's so cool to hear somebody else sharing their tips and getting to like see the reflection of like, these are so powerful, and this, it really does, like one tip can change the game for a relationship. It's amazing.
Totally. Yeah, your tip on like naming the unexpressed expectation or boundary is a game changer. Like I kind of know that, but I have never. Yeah, that's great.
Especially clarifying that it's the expectation, because we'll say name whatever it is, but taking it a step further to say name the expectation is showing you like to point of where to look. So it's a very helpful sign in the jungle of navigating an awesome relationship. So thank you for leaving that signpost for us.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say one thing that I got some greater clarification around, and then we'll wrap up here, around bringing fun and play to even conflict, because I think sometimes people confuse the work that we do with like addressing the issue and just like making light of everything, and that's not what we're talking about. No, you can actually bring play to conflict so that you can actually move through it rather than be stuck in it. And that's what we're doing. Like, even if you're upset, like bring some play to the upset, like turn up the volume, act the age that you're actually really being.
You might be like I love what you said about if you say the same thing 4 times, then you know you're stuck in the cyclone. And so you can even bring some play and be like, oh, that's 3. I think we both have said those things, that exchange 3 times. I said to Raj, a couple weeks ago, we had our biggest argument in a year and a half, which means I said, pull over the car and slam the door. So it wasn't too major, but I had said that same thing to him of, oh, shoot. I lost it. What did I say to you in the car?
Which thing?
I don't remember. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. I was in the car already slamming the door, but anyways. I'm looking at the pockets. 33 as well. So why don't we just take that note, and we'll let everyone know about how they can find out more about you guys and what's coming up in the next episode. It's going to come back to me in a moment.
Did you want to say anything about the at-home exploration, or did we get that out?
I think the only thing that we would say is just really look at what are your 5-year-old strategies that you're still using in conflict. Like, what am I still using that's like of a 5-year-old, and like, where can I get that upgrade? Like, where can I upgrade the way that I'm relating in conflict? Yeah.
Where can I get the upgrade? I love that.
Does the at home mean like looking in within, or does it mean like at your house?
Both.
When you're looking.
Well, and we actually, we forgot to mention this to you, and maybe you can just throw it in with the at-home thing, but we actually created a connection meditation. Matt we did it together, but it's based in his neuroscience work, so it's actually formulated to help calm your nervous system and get you back to a place that's, you're actually having your anatomy work with you, not against you, for creating connection. And we're super grateful to be here with you guys, and it's something that we usually share in our courses, but we just felt really inspired. It's a tool that helps us a lot. It's a quick 10-minute meditation. So we would love to shoot that over to you guys, Gabby and Raj. It's a SoundCloud meditation, and we would love to share it with your participants here.
Yeah, just as a gift, because we're just super jazzed to be here with you guys, and just so appreciate who you guys are, and just appreciate those that are tuning in. So we definitely wanted to offer that as a gift for sure.
I love that. I love that specific tool. You know, we have a 10-minute meditation that we use that someone else studied and designed, but we recorded because he take 2 hours to teach people the meditation. It's a 10-minute meditation. Like we got to find another way. And we call it, it was originally called, they've changed it to something else now, but the Inner Magic Joy Cycle. It's all about cultivating joy. And we keep that on our phone. So I'm looking forward to checking out your meditation because it's right there in our songs. You always have your phone with you. So if you're in a conflict, we've literally pulled over on the side of the road. Our air conditioning died in our car. We're on a road trip. It was over 90 degrees out. We're bickering. And Raj is like, should we pull over and do the meditation? And we did. And there we are on the side of the road. This one's a physical meditation. So we're like jumping for joy on the side of the road with semis flying by. So looking forward to having your meditation as well and appreciate that gift. Thank you so much. Now, in addition to that gift, Raj, will you go to the next slide that show people where they can find out more about Matthew and Amanda? I love this fun picture of the two of them there, like serious and playful, getting to work, like what are we going to build together? So you can find them on either Facebook on Relational Intelligence RQ or the other URL that we showed at the beginning, and we'll put both of those URLs in the comments. It looks like that didn't update for some reason.
Yeah, we put it on the last
slide. Or on the last slide. Oh, we'll get to that on the last slide. And then next week, we'll be looking at how to keep the sex dirty during a path to broadening pleasure boundaries with Philippe Lewis. So don't believe the cliches. The passion does not have to fade. Best ever sexy time is not behind you. So we almost always have couples, but in this case, Philippe is a master in the realm of keeping the sex dirty. He leads all sorts of workshops on countless different topics from consent to, he's going to have so many great tips for us. I'm looking forward to having him next week. Yeah, we're going to have the best of a sexy time after these interviews too. So good.
So you don't want to miss that one.
And then if you are new to Relationship Fun and Games, you can check us out at relationshipfunandgames.com. And if you go ahead and opt in at the top of the page, or if you go to this URL here with our free gifts main, again, we'll put that in the comments so you don't have to write it down. But you'll get our 4-part mini email course and our Fights Clean, Sex Dirty free guidebook. So just opt in and get your free relationship reset kit. And if you want to dive a little deeper, you can check out our ebook. We do have some upcoming courses in the next few months, but stay tuned on more of that. So go ahead and make sure you subscribe so you get to hear about everything that's coming out from Relationship Fun and Games. Of course, there's that Fights Clean, Sex Dirty toolkit coming out in June too, so you don't want to miss that.
Ooh.
And if you have some special event like a wedding you're going to and they're, want to give this as a gift, feel free to reach out to Gabby. If we could have Gabby's email address thrown into the comments, gabby@relationshipfunandgames.com.
And so thanks everyone for joining us who's watching the show. Thank you to Matthew and Amanda. We're just so happy to have you and happy to have you out there in the world supporting other couples because the world needs more love. Too many relationships, too many people are valuing their relationship based on how long they've been together, not how happy, not how playful, peaceful, and passionate it is. So thank you for being that for couples, for having a high standard and a playful approach to helping people have what they want in relationships and the work that you do with individuals as well. You guys, I'm just happy you're in the world.
Thank you. We feel the same. This has been amazing.
It's been such a pleasure, guys. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and did you want to share anything about what's available at that the other link here that we didn't have on the other slide, the relational intelligence link?
Yeah, so relationalintelligence.us is actually a page that people can come to, and we're actually offering, and again, it's also for your guys' group as well, we're opening up 20 calls for people to do our relationship roadmap success session. It's quite the mouthful.
It is. Basically what it is we take 75 minutes of our time, and it feels like our gift, our offering to the world to help people get on this path, to help you get really clear with what your vision is for your ultimate relationship, really like bringing that into reality in your mind, and then get really clear on what are the blocks that are keeping you from being there already and help you create a plan and a path to get there. And so that is a gift. There's no strings attached to it, but that's definitely what's available on that link. And we're super excited to get to share that offering with the world right now and see what ripples it creates.
And the last thing I'll say then too is also people are totally welcome to find us, stalk us on Facebook as well. So if you guys want to,
all the time.
we do Facebook Live trainings on there every single week. We do 2 a week, usually Tuesday and Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. So if people want to find us on Facebook, we're so happy to connect on Facebook as well. That's a big place that we like to play. So.
Wonderful. Amazing, you guys. So great to spend some time with you, and can't wait to have some time with you together in person soon.
Yes.
I think it's happening very soon. They're coming up here for a wedding this weekend. I'm going to be staying at our house. So
Yeah, in a day and a half.
we will be soon.
Yeah,
Yeah, Shannon and Lindsay are getting married.
awesome. My dreams come true.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, you guys, and to all the audience, thank you so much. Wonderful is worth it, we said at the beginning, and so are you. And if any of us, the 4 of us, can be of any support, we're here to blow wind in your sails, whether it's, I'm sure you guys have your free options as well, as we just don't let the excuses get in the way, because tomorrow is going to be just as challenging, and you want to make sure that you're building the tools and blowing wind in each other's sails of your relationship, so that a little bit of stress, doesn't tear you down, or even tear you apart. And it don't just get through it. Get going on what you really, really, really want. As Raj and I like to say, save being nasty for your sex life, right?
It's awesome. Love that.
That is what we say. So,
Yeah.
Hey, I was thinking we could sing our "Wonderful is Worth It," and so is you. Just to close, just the one line.
The first part of it? Just the one line. Okay, we're going to close with the one line from our song. And we just wrote this song. We don't write songs together. This was a big deal. We were at a workshop and we performed this song as a club. So there's just one line. We'll end that way, yeah? Okay. Wonderful is worth it, and so are you. Good night, everybody.
Woo! Love it. Awesome.